Welcome to Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian.
I'm Stacey.
I am your mid-complexity casual gamer.
I am your non-gamer gamer.
And we're here today with another initial impressions of a game we just learned. We got, you might notice matching shirts. Stacey had a craft fair today. And so this is her little small business. Want to say the name of it?
Square Sky Crafts.
So we just got home from that, and we learned Cities, which is a Phil Walker Harding game with Steve Finn, brought to us by Devir Games. It was a fun little game. Let's get into our initial impressions. First, the rule book. What do you think?
It's simple. It's short, sweet, and to the point.
You got components. You got setup and starting the round. You got gameplay with some specifics on some specific rows, which we'll talk about. And you got scoring during game and end game. I mean, this always worries me when I see something like this small, because you just like, oh, did they really? Because we've had some bad experiences with some rule books that are like this, and you're just like, I can't play the game. It doesn't even. But this game, I mean, this is all it needed. So the fact that it played with just this and it was very easy to follow, that is very nice.
If I can follow it, you can too.
All right, moving on to the setup, and we're going to drop down to the other camera. So here's the setup for the game. To set up the game, you you pick a city tile. There's 4 different ones, and you place it in this spot on the city map here. And then you have your scoring cards. You put them face down here, and you deal 3 face up and 1 face down. Then you have your city tiles. You put them here, and some of them off to the side. You put 3 face up, 1 face down. You have your feature tiles. You have a bunch off to the side. You put them face up in these spots, and then face down here. And then you have your buildings, and you put them on all the squares. You do not put them on these 2 question marks. We'll get to that in a little bit. But that's pretty much the setup. And then everybody takes one of these starting dials. We still have our game, the end of our game done, so we can kind of show you some scoring. But each person takes one of the 4 scoring tiles. This setup is exactly the same whether you're playing with 2, 3, or 4 players. The gameplay gets a little different with different numbers of players, but the setup is exactly the same. You give the star token to the start player, and that is the setup. It was easy. It was quick. I was like, oh, that's it. Okay. So that is
easy to get to the table. That's for sure.
Yep. We'll stay down at the table here for the components of the game, and then the artwork after that. You want to talk about some of the components here?
So some of the components, I mean, this is fairly easy. You've got different city tiles. So you've got New York City, and then you've got 3 other ones. Very good quality. Pretty thick. They're not gonna bend very easily.
Good thickness on the
good
tiles.
Thickness on those.
On the tiles.
These little cell phone tiles are pretty decent. A little hard to shuffle. Little thin.
They're a little thin. You got to be careful because we did have them. They were kind of bending a little bit, but as long as you're careful with it, not that big of a deal.
No. I think if you're one of those people that has to shuffle everything, probably be easier just to put these on the table, shuffle them around that way, and then deal them up on the board. These city cards are the same quality as the main board.
Yeah. So are the features. The features are the same thickness. They were on the same punch board.
These are going to be your buildings that go in your cities. They're stackable, so you can stack them on top of each other. These are good quality, actually. If I'm trying to squeeze it as hard as I can.
They're nice, thick plastic.
Yeah, I can't squeeze it at all, so that's a bonus.
One thing I missed on the setup is this bag. All of these go in the bag, and then you draw out of here. It's the only thing that you kind of can't see.
randomly
So,
put out there.
but I mean, I know it's the bag that holds them, but that is a nice bag. I mean, that is a really good quality bag. We've had some bags in games that start ripping on stuff. This one does not feel like it's going to come apart at all. But yeah, components are
pretty good.
it's good. It's a good thickness. It's a good thickness tile for everything.
Oh, and the first player component, so the first
It's a nice
person
thick,
gets.
like really
Yeah,
thick.
look at that. I mean, it's got a nice chunk to it, and it angles. So either direction that you put it, it angles either way.
Yeah.
So
One side's flat, so then the angle's to you, but if you put the angle down, then it's still the same angle. So I like that. So it doesn't matter which way you put it.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on to one of Stacy's favorite parts of anything.
Yes.
And that is the artwork.
The artwork on this is very simple. Um,
It's minimal. There's very minimal. There's not a lot.
Minimal. We've got some art tools up here for architects to be planning out their city.
I just noticed those as we started. I do like that.
Yeah.
I didn't really pay attention, but I like those. Those are really cool. Just the blueprints and stuff.
So that's nice. But it's very minimalistic. The board itself just has these little houses on it. All around it.
Some parks. Let's see. Some parks, some water, some bridges.
But with this game, you don't need a lot of artwork to make it work, I don't think.
The feature tiles are nice.
Yeah.
The feature tiles, there's a lot of nice little things. You got fountains and some whales and some lighthouses and some other features that go in the park and the water and the land. And then I think the biggest is just the city tiles. So got a skyline of New York City. Yeah. Wow. Aww. Up to date too.
Yep.
And then here's the other one, Lisbon, Barcelona, and Sydney. 3 places.
Uh-oh.
Oh, somebody closed a door. Really?
Uh-oh.
Somebody closed something.
Run for cover.
Somebody closed something.
World is coming to an end.
Yeah, someone closed something. Okay.
Geez.
So there's your cities. We're gonna put New York back on there, so
that's
we
what
can
we
get
played with.
Into yeah. So
in the rule book, did it suggest which one you should start with?
I do believe it said to start with New York, or it says New York or Rio de Janeiro.
I didn't see that one.
I did not see Rio de Janeiro.
Is that still?
Oh, they're two-sided.
Two-sided.
I didn't realize they were two-sided. Okay. Oh, there's 8 cities then. So then we got Rio de Janeiro, which is on the opposite side of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
so
that makes more sense.
Yeah, Buenos Aires, Venice, and Mexico City. So
there we go.
I didn't even realize they were two-sided. I didn't even notice that like the other one that is suggested wasn't there. Okay, so there you go. All right, on to the gameplay, which is my part of things usually.
Yep.
So in cities, you are trying to build out your city. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to slide my city that I made up here on the screen. So you start with a start tile. I don't remember which one. I think this center one may have been my start tile. It doesn't have to be. And during your turn, you have, with 2 players, you have 8 of your little workers. With 3 or 4 players, you have 4 of them. With 2 players, you play 4 rounds, and you're going to place 2 of these in each row of your round. With 3 or 4 players, you are going to place 1 in each round every turn. So we'll just talk about the 2-player. That is kind of the big difference between 2 players and 3 and 4 players. You are still getting 8 total tiles throughout. So that's why you play 8 rounds in a 3 or 4 player and 4 rounds in a 2-player. So on your turn, you are going to choose, do you want to get one of these scoring cards? Do you want to get a city tile? Do you want to get a feature tile? Or do you want to get some buildings? If you do, you simply take it and you place your worker in the spot. This one gives you 2 features. You get 4 buildings here, 3 there, 3 there. This spot right here, you take 2 random pieces, but you also get the first player token on the next round. Here you see these. There is always one unknown, which I kind of like. It's kind of interesting. You have an unknown here, an unknown here, an unknown here, and 2 unknowns here. So what you're doing is you are choosing what you want to take in order. In a two-player game, you are going to get two of these, two of these, two of these, and two of these spaces in each round. And then you place them into your city. You are trying to fulfill some different goals, which we'll kind of talk about. But for New York City, you want to get Central Park, which is a park area of at least 7 spaces. So there's 3 spaces. There's city spaces, park spaces, and water spaces. You want to get avenues, so you want 2 horizontal or 2 vertical lines of 6 building spaces. Or sorry, building spaces, water, and park. And then skyscrapers, you want 4 buildings of 3 or more buildings pieces of any color. So you place your meeple out, you grab what you're taking. In a two-player game, you go back and forth until everybody has grabbed 2 things from each. You immediately place it into your city. So here's my city. Here is Stacey's finished city from our last game. Um, and then you reset. So you reset exactly the same way for every round. So it's nice. You just quickly throw the stuff back out there, and the first player goes. And that's really the gameplay of it. You're trying to fulfill these plans, but you're also trying to fulfill these extra scoring cards that you can take. So once somebody has taken 2 things here, it's really nice because we had several times where like one of us had 2 of those. You're like, well, I know those other 2 are mine, so I don't have to take those yet. So deciding when you want to take things is a nice little strategy, and when you want to try and get things scored. So, but the gameplay is pretty simple. I mean, that's it. You place your meatball, you take the things, you put it into your city. That's it. So let's move on to the scoring. So scoring in this game overall is done at the end of the game. But during the game, you can get a little bit of scoring. So when you fulfill one of these, immediately after your turn, you place one of these rings on there. So if you get that first, you get to place your ring. And then the next person, when they get it, they can place your ring. So everybody in a 2-player game can get that. Obviously, in a 4-player game, only 3 people can get it. So everybody gets a chance to get those. So once you place something, once you finish your turn, not the round, and if you fulfilled one of those, you get to place your ring up there to score. And then end game scoring. So that scores during, and you at the end of the game, you do start by scoring those. Then you move on to your water and your park spaces. The way these score is there are 4 different features, 4 different water features, and 4 different park features. If you have one feature in a contiguous park or water space for that, you get 1 point. If you have 2 different features, you get 3 points. If you have 3 different features, you have 6 points. And if you have all 4 different features in one section, you get 10 points. So you can see in my water here, I had all 4 water spaces, or all 4 water features. In my park, even though I have 6 features, I only have 3 different ones. So I only score for the 3. But this one down here also scores because it's in a different park space. Then you have these building features, and these are just monuments. So these are just a straight up 2 points. And then your cards. So your scoring cards will give you some different things. This one says you get 2 victory points for each set of 1 red, blue, green, and yellow buildings of any size. This one you get 1 victory point for 2 park spaces in your largest park area. There's all sorts of different victory or scoring points. That's how you score those. So you score your city achievement board, you score your water and park spaces, you score your monument feature tiles, and you score your cards. That is the scoring for this game. And moving on to final thoughts. Okay, come back to us for the final thoughts of this. Why don't you start?
Um, so I don't want to brag or anything, but this is the very first game that I purchased all by myself in a friendly board shop
Friendly local game shop.
place. Yes.
Well, I mean, you might as well tell them the story. You were over visiting with your sister.
He doesn't want me to tell
No,
the story.
no.
Um, So yeah, I was visiting my sister in Silverthorne, Colorado. They had pre-opening of this game
Hidden
shop.
Tables, found in Silverthorne and Eagle, Colorado.
Yep. Um, and so I went in just to check it out and bought a game. And they were like, "Hey, maybe you're interested in this game." And I was like, "I already have that game. I need a different game." And I was sitting there chatting about games. I actually sound like I knew what I was talking about for once in my life.
While she was there, her sister had her take a picture. I think her sister was having her take a picture kind of as a joke to send me. Like, oh, look, she's in GameStop, not knowing that Stacey has actually started getting involved in, like, is involved in the YouTube channel, has actually started playing more games. So, yeah,
Anyway,
so this
yes,
was Stacey's first game that she ever bought. She asked me, I'm like, this one's this weight and this rating and stuff. And so this is the
it's
first game that she bought.
it's in my weight, so I figured I would probably like it. Um, but my final thoughts on this game is that I do enjoy this game. It falls in my criteria for a good game, which is comes in a small box. It is easy to set up. It is easy to get to the table on a weeknight, so I would consider this a weeknight game. There's not a whole lot of thinky going on. Once you draw your cards for the special points, then it becomes a little bit harder. Not harder. What I don't know what the word is I'm looking
And
for.
they kind of, when you draw these, you're drawing to a game, but you're all or round, but you're also looking at these. So
Yeah.
you're trying to see, well, is there something here that can bounce off that? So like the first round we played, we actually had two cards here that bounced off of that bounced off of the. I just realized I'm pointing and we're
Yeah, you
not looking
can't
at.
see
So
anything.
so we had two of these cards that kind of bounced with this one or synergized with this one, so they could score the things at the same time. Um, but yeah, and you're not going to score them all. Like you,
No.
Stacy, late in our game, she went for something that was higher scoring for her blue
Mm-hmm.
buildings. It completely negated two or three other cards, but those points
Yeah.
ended up giving us a tie in the game.
Yeah, the points that were on the New York card were more than the points that I had taken off of the scoring point card. So
When you
that,
had that other scoring card for the blues
yes,
with two going four high instead of two or one high.
yes. So is what I aimed to do is try to get the cards that said for different spaces you earn this amount. So for each different park space you had, it was like two extra bonus points for each park space. For each water space, it was like two or three extra bonus
Park
points.
area, not
Park
space.
area,
Yeah.
sorry. So that's what I chose to do. It seemed to work a little bit. Um, so I think this one is good for all ages. You, I don't know if,
Oh, I think yeah.
yeah. Now, if you do have a color deficiency and you're, having a little difficult time trying to figure out your colors, I can't see where there's a differential in
You got.
telling what colors the buildings are.
I could see some.
I
Could
could see
see
some,
some issues maybe if you have some sort of color blindness or something.
yeah.
But
But other than that, it was fun. I enjoyed it the first time I played it, which I normally don't enjoy a game the first time I play it because I just get so aggravated that I don't understand the rules sometimes. This one, I misunderstood one of the rules, but that's okay. I came back and I figured it out and I rewound in my head and I figured out a different strategy to do. So that was good. But other than that, fun, small box, there's no animals. So,
there's a whale.
oh, yeah, there's a whale. So, that fits part of the criteria for a fun game for Stacy. Um, so I would recommend this game.
Yeah. I agree with Stacey. I really like this one. It's a nice lighter weight game. I think when I looked, it was like a 2.0.
Right
Um,
in my
yeah,
little
yeah,
area.
right about where you are. You're had a lot between the 2 and 2.5 on our
Mm-hmm.
video. Above that was a little high for you. It's just a nice little. It's kind of a little cozy game. The fact that we just realized there's 8 cities is gonna make it even more replayable. Yeah, there's a lot to think about, but at the same time, it's not too much, and it really, like, you can go through things in a lot of different ways. Like, oh, I want these cities. So the rules, Stacy didn't realize how the parks and water spaces scored, and I did pick up on that right because I've had other games that do that. So I was picking up a lot of features early. Um, but yeah, it's a fun game. It was it there's the movement and like placing things in different spots and figure out, okay, what do I want to take, but then also realizing once someone has taken two things in a row, you're like, okay, well, those are mine. I don't have to take those yet. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to be mine no matter what. Okay, so now I'm going to go, I want something where I have some choice as far as, okay, I want that before she does get it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. It'll be a nice lighter game. Once we have it set up, um, we can have it set up and it can be a quick weeknight game, even with having it set it up. There isn't a whole lot of setup. I will say um the tiles, because they are like kind of big, tiles are a little hard to kind of shuffle and randomize as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um so these are a little bit, these ones are easier than these because there's a lot of these small feature ones. I just kind of stacked them and restacked them and moved them around and kind of shuffled them on the table and then moved them around, stacked them and restacked them and stuff.
Probably just put them in a sandwich bag and shake them up.
Yeah, I would want a bag that you can't see in though, so that you
Mm-hmm.
can't see, especially for the features. So these features, because they all have pictures on them, I would want some sort of bag. So I like how they had the bag for this. I kind of wish there was a bag for the features because then you could just grab how many out. You don't have to. They're small, so when you start stacking them, you start making multiple piles. They can fall over pretty easily. These not so not so
The
worried
city
about.
tiles
The
he's
city
pointing
tiles.
at.
Oh, sorry, the city tiles. The city tiles. Um, are nice. So yeah, overall this is a good game. We like our tile laying games. We like our cozy tile laying games, our lighter tile game laying games. But I do like that this is more than just a tile laying. It's kind of got a little city builder aspect to
Mm-hmm.
it where you're building up your buildings to score things. You're getting different color buildings. You're trying to get like different park areas and different water areas and different building areas, and you can cover up the buildings and building areas, and you cover up the or with features and stuff. So
And one of the things with the buildings is that there are different point values. So if you have, it'll say, for each green house or building that you have that's a single, that's worth certain points. If you have one that's a too high, then that's points.
on
But if you
some of the
have,
scoring cards, they're very
yeah,
specific to.
but if you have like four buildings that are four each high, then those are worth 6 points each. So that's where you can also get a lot of your points as well, is making sure that you get those cards and fulfilling the higher point ones as well.
I will say that with a two-player game, the the city scoring board I can see almost not being as important as long as you get it, because in a two-player game, the biggest point differential you're going to have is 6 points. Because if
Mm-hmm.
someone gets first place on all of them and someone gets second place, that's only a 2 point differential. So that's only 6 points. Unless I missed something in the rules that says you have to do the first and last one, but even that's 4 points. So it's going to be, so I could see this being lesser, but like if you can get one of these first, you can almost ignore the other two until late in the game. Like if you can get one of these pretty quick first, then it doesn't matter if the other person gets the other two because it's only going to be a 2 point differential, and that's where like the individual scoring cards are going to really um, kind of come in. Like, okay, wait, I want some scoring cards there that score a lot of points. Like there's some that score one for things, but I mean, even it's only going to score four total if you can get it or something. Whereas you can get something like, oh, I can get four for each one of these or six for
Mm-hmm.
each one. That's where Stacey came back and we ended up tying and she won the tiebreaker. Now, I will say, I didn't talk about this. The tiebreaker is whoever has the most points on here. So that's where things will come. So Stacey got two of these first. I got the other one first. So this was only a 2 point differential, but we ended up tying. So she did get the tiebreaker. So that is where this is going to come in. Is okay. Maybe I want that tiebreaker, but maybe you just want to go like maybe I can just try and get a lot more points and not worry about the tiebreaker. She ended up getting a personal scoring card that gave her 6 points for each blue building that was at least 4 high. She had 2 of them. That 12 points was huge in the personal scoring. But yeah, final thoughts. This is a hit. This is one that will I think will be around for a while, especially now that we realize there's 8 different cities instead of just 4. Um,
I think we need to start looking at games a little closer.
well, I punched them out and I just dropped them
Yeah.
down, so I didn't realize that they were 2-sided. But I do like
That's
that.
funny.
But we were talking about how like this is a game where there could be a very easy expansion, and you could literally just come up with like, I mean, in 4 more cards, 8 more cities. I mean, all of a sudden you got 16 cities to play. I mean, that could be a very small expansion. It'd be kind of interesting to see if they come up with anything here with other features or other tiles or other things. But right now, a lot of fun. Very quick, like I said, you only have 9 total tiles in your at the end. So 2-player game, you play 4 rounds. 3, 4, you play 8 rounds, but it's still basically the same number of turns. You just have to reset the board more often. So, yep, this one's
It's a keeper.
this one's a keeper. This one's gonna be a good one. So, have you played Cities? If you have, let us know what you think in the comments. Any other tile or even non-tile land games that you feel are similar to this that we might enjoy? Please leave a suggestion. We always like getting suggestions. If you like this video and want to see more, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see the rest of our initial impressions, you can follow that link above. Once again, this has been Where There's a Wills.
There's a play.
I'm Ian.
I'm Stacey.
And we'll see you next time.
At the table.